Hello, and welcome to Meet the Author, a show where we explore the world through the imagination of talented writers. On this show, we will talk with authors from Laurel, Prince George's County, the DMV, and beyond. Today, our guest author is Mrs. Makayla Messam. She is from the Laurel area and has written 3 books about the ups and downs of her life. The first one, A Mile in My Shoes, it's all about her traumatic childhood. The second one is about her first attempt at marriage and is entitled Matrimonial Deception. And the third book is about her amazing breakthrough and positive outlook on life called Life After Death. Hi, Mrs. Messam, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. How are you today?
Good. So we're going to just talk about your books. Now, you have 3 books about 3 different phases of your life. Tell me what made you decide to put your life on paper.
I decided to put my life on paper because I feel like it can help to free people. A lot of times people have things going on in their lives and they keep it a secret and it keeps you bound. So I feel like if I can free myself, maybe others can free themselves by reading my book and then write their story. Good.
So we're going to do what you asked us to do and take a walk in your shoes. So let's start at the beginning.
Yes.
So A Mile in My Shoes talks about your childhood. So just without giving away your book, of course, walk us through your childhood. Tell us all about it.
So the first book, A Mile in My Shoes, it just tells you about what it was like growing up with a mom that was on drugs and ending up in foster care, which for me was one of the best things my mother could have done. I feel like she made that decision to help us, not to hurt us. And it did. It had a lot of trials, a lot of tribulations, but it made me a stronger person. So that's pretty much what the book is about. And it just talks about how, no matter where you begin, your end is what's the most important.
Exactly. And so it talks a little bit about you fighting, and it goes into details about different things that happened in your childhood.
You're right. I was rough around the edges as a teenager because you don't know where you fit in. You're too young to be a baby and too old to be a baby and too young to be an adult. And you're in this middle phase and you don't know where you stand. You don't know where you're supposed to be. And so I didn't know how to deal with a lot of stress at that age because I had gone through so much and I didn't have that one person, which would normally be your mother, to come to and talk to and have that dinner talk where you talk about your day. So fighting was the only thing I knew. So unfortunately, I was a fighter. I'm still a fighter, but in a different way.
Okay. Good. And it talks about you being in foster homes, how you said that was a good thing that was done, but just it gives a couple of examples of the things that you had to go through while you were in the foster home.
Right, yeah. Being in foster care was challenging. There were some good times and there were some bad times. I dealt with some things that I probably wouldn't have had to deal with if I was not in foster care. There was a lot of mishaps, we'll call them, and when people read the book they'll understand what that means better. But those things made me stronger. It gave me a foundation to start with, no matter how shaky that foundation was, and I just built on that. Good. And though it was hard, it was definitely something that I could say if I had to go through it again, I wouldn't mind, because it gave me a strong backbone. It gave me a reason to want to be better.
Good. And then the last thing about the foster care system, you were adopted by your grandmother. So that was kind of the end of the book. And
well, she didn't adopt me, but she did foster me.
Okay.
She moved, her and my aunt moved from New York, and they came to Maryland, and they fought for years to get us out of foster care. Unfortunately, by the time that happened, I was a little older.
Okay.
So I was only with them for a couple of years before I went into the independent living program and started living on my own.
Okay.
But that was just amazing that I had family members that would uproot their entire life, and my aunt uprooted her children, and they all moved here to get me and my siblings out of the situation that we were in. So that showed that we had someone who loved us unconditionally, that they would uproot, to be here with us.
Great, and that's what you need, right? That support system. Okay, so you talked about being a little bit older. And well, before we get to that, your books, the way you wrote this particular book, it has a personal feel where you talk to your readers. I especially like the part where you say, go take a break, go cook dinner and come back. So what made you decide to write it like that?
Because I truly want you to put on a pair of my shoes and walk through this journey. I'm an avid reader. I love to read. And sometimes when I read the books, I don't feel like I'm a part of the story.
Okay.
So when I wrote, I want people to be a part of the story. Don't just read it and say, I'm on the outside looking in. I want you to get into the story. Imagine if it was you. Right. How would you have reacted to this situation? How would you have handled it? Would it have broken you? Would it have made you stronger? Because when you look at how it did me, it truly made me stronger. But someone else that doesn't have the same makeup as me, it might not have had the same effect.
Right.
So I want people to walk with me through my journey.
Well, I did. I think I stopped and made my dinner doing that part.
Because it's a lot. It's an awful lot. And it's a small book. It's not a lot of pages. But there's so much information.
It was.
And it's very emotional. So you can't read it all at one time without saying, I need a break.
Right.
You know, it's like watching a good movie. You put that Lifetime movie on pause, I'm going to go to the bathroom, come back. I can't do this right now.
Right.
So, yeah.
It really was like that while I was reading it. So now we're going to jump a little bit further. You said your grandparent fostered you, and you got married. So how old were you when you got married?
I was 19 years old when I got married the first time.
Okay.
You can imagine what that was like. I wasn't even barely an adult.
Right, I can imagine. So we're going to delve into your next book, Matrimonial Deception. And like I mentioned, it's about a marriage and the fraud, we'll say, that took place in your first marriage. So just talk to us a little bit, again, with not giving the book away, but about the lessons that you learned during this first marriage and how it helped you prepare for your current marriage.
So I think the biggest message that I learned, the biggest lesson that I learned was to pick and choose your battles.
Okay.
So many times when you're independent, as I was, I had been living on my own since I was 17. So here I am at 19 and this man's trying to marry me and I'm just like, okay. And in my mind, I really got married because I wanted a forever family.
Right.
I wanted a family that I belonged to, that no matter what, they love me, I love them. It was unconditional. So I thought that that's what I would get out of this marriage. However, that wasn't the case.
Right.
But it did give me some lessons like, you know, pick and choose your battles. Everything is not an argument. Everything doesn't have to be your way. You know, there has to be compromise when you're in a marriage. You know, just don't make everything always about you. It's not always about you.
Right.
So that was the biggest lesson that I learned.
So I guess your current husband probably appreciates that very much, right?
Yeah, even though sometimes I make a slip, girl.
Right. It's understandable. That's
slip up,
fine.
girl.
That's fine. All right. So let's talk about life after death, because we are going to just skim through a little bit because we don't want to give away too much of your book. We want people to pick it up and read it.
Right.
So life after death, you made it through a hard childhood. You talked about the lessons that you learned during your first marriage. You were adopted at 32, and you actually changed your name, so you weren't born Makayla.
No, I wasn't.
You were born...
I was born Aisha.
Okay.
And most people who will be looking at this that know me from this area are going to be like, I know that face, but her name not Makayla. So, and I get that a lot. You know, when I see people that friend me on social media and things like that, they're like, I noticed your face, but your name is kind of different. So yes, my mom, she adopted me. I was 32 years old at the time. And she changed my name. Her and my siblings, she had 3 other children, 2 boys and a girl. So I made her 4th child, but her 2nd oldest. And they all have the M's with their first name. Okay. And so she didn't want me to be different. This woman is amazing, by the way. She is absolutely amazing. And she didn't want me to be any different, so she named me an M. And her and my sister are both MLs, so I got an ML, so I'm Makayla Lorraine. Okay. And it's just, and she asked me about different names, and when I said, whatever you choose, you know, because if you had birthed me, I wouldn't be able to choose my name. And it took me a while to get used to it, even to start using it. But I looked up what the name Makayla means. And when I looked it up, it said one with God. And I said, that's a name I can stand behind. And so it was a hard transition, but I did it.
It works. It works very well. Now, question, though, that may be on the minds of our readers or our viewers, just why at 32 would you choose to or need or want to be adopted? What was that? Explain that to us a little bit.
I don't know if there was necessarily a want, right? there was definitely a need. And that need was more because I needed to have my forever family. And for someone, no matter what age they are, growing up in foster care is difficult, right? So you're going from home to home to home, never finding that one person that says, you belong to me. This woman said to me, you belong to me. Right. And I just happened to be 32 years old when it happened. So and that to me is like amazing, which is why I wrote that book, because I wanted to teach other children and teenagers in foster care that it doesn't matter how old you are. If you have a desire to be adopted and a desire to have a forever family, you will get it. You just have to be strong enough to accept it when the opportunity comes. Because at 32, I could have very well said, no, I'm not feeling that. Like, what you trying to do? But no, she loved me unconditionally for real, and still does to this day, as a matter of fact.
That's good. And that's what we all need, right? That's what it all boils down to, just loving one another, being there for one another. Like you said, being there forever. That's definitely a good feeling. So we went through the book. So tell us what's going on with you now. You mentioned actress, so I read in your book, actress and different things like that. Tell us what's going on with you now. So I am currently still acting, still modeling. I am a hairstylist at a salon called Essentials, and Essentials just made me a partner there, so that's kind of cool. I've been there for 3 years. Thank you very much. So I just got selected to be a delegate in a full-figure DMV pageant that's coming out. It's in August, and I'm really, really, really excited about that because I have competed in pageants before, but now I'm in my 40s, because my birthday is on Friday, so I'm in my 40s, and this is going to be the last time I ever be in a pageant. So I'm like, I'm a rock 40, be fabulous, and I'm going to do this pageant, girl. But I'm still modeling, and I just had a photo shoot just yesterday, and it was good, even though it was kind of rainy, but you know, we had a good shoot. And you know, I just, you know, the things that I want to do, I just do. I have produced plays. I just did one last year called Salon Shenanigans. It did very, very well. It sold out several times right here in the DMV. And so a lot of my writing and producing and, you know, I'm just doing everything I want to do in my life, because I feel like life is so short. We talk about all the things that we want to do and we never actually do it. So, you know, I'm submitting myself for stuff every day, like at least 12 times a day. I'm submitting in something, because I just feel like you're going to get a lot of no's. But that one yes might be the one. So it catapults you, right?
You know,
it takes you off.
It takes you, like this show.
And we definitely can't forget, so we talked about you being in foster care, but what you've done is you fostered some of your own children, right? I
absolutely did.
So you give back, and that's absolutely awesome. So tell us about your foster children and how you decided to do that and how that worked out for you.
So I always said when I was younger that when I grew up, you know, when I grow up, I'm going to be a Toys R Us kid. No, when I grow up, I'm going to be a foster parent, because I wanted the children to experience something different from what I experienced in foster care. So I became a foster parent. I was 25 when I did it. I was still with my first husband. We got our first foster child. She was 14, and she's 30 now, and she has 5 children. She is still my child. All her grandkids are still, I mean, her children, all my grandkids. It's amazing. I've probably fostered over about 20 children. I focus on teenagers. I love teenagers. That is the group of people that nobody wants but me. I think that they are the throwaways, and I know what it's like to be a teenager with issues, problems, hurts, concerns. So if I can relate to them in a way that they can feel loved and, you know, feel worth, then that's what I want to do. So out of all the children that I fostered, how many I got? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 3 that I kept, and that are still my children now. And then I have a total of 6 children. I was told I could never have kids. And when my youngest sister passed away a couple of years ago, and she left me her 8-year-old son, who's now 11. I adopted him, and once I adopted him, I got pregnant with my first child.
How about that?
So I always wanted 5 children, and I got 1 extra, which is Miss Destiny. She's a mess, but she's the youngest of them all.
That's awesome. And like I told you before, I just love the story of, how you've come through what you've gone through, but you didn't allow that to stop you, and then you give back to others. That's just an awesome story to me, and I just hope that, our viewers can listen to this and get inspiration from this, because I think it's a wonderful story that you have.
Thank you.
Lastly, a few more. Books. So you've written the books all about you, and you said you're a playwright. Now, do you have any plans to write any other books, or?
So I want to try something different.
Okay.
So most of my books that I have written, because I've written more than just these 3, I've self-published more than just these 3, but most of them are inspirational and, true stories. I wanted to try to do something that's not so true.
Okay.
And so I am
so
I'm in the process of writing this book called The Truth is Daunting.
Okay.
And it's something totally out of, which is why it's taking me so long, because it's hard for me to make stuff up,
Right.
Even in my stage plays, it's all pretty much true stuff. I just add a little comic or whatever to make it entertaining, but I truly focus on true events. I think that's my MO,
Okay.
and so it's very difficult for me to write this next book. So, and I am in the process of writing another play, Salon Shenanigans 2.
Okay.
And I have a lot of projects that are just sitting. I'm working to try to I wrote a short film, so I'm working on trying to get that published so I can, get that done. But so yeah, I'm working on some things. I'll let y'all know. Y'all can bring me back and I'll update y'all.
Will do. You got a lot going on. Like I said, I'm impressed. I like what you do. I think it's very inspirational. You just keep busy. You're a woman after my own heart, because I like to keep busy also. So keep doing what you're doing and letting us know what's going on, and keep inspiring people. You want to leave any contact information of where people can get your book, stay in contact with you so we can find out about your plays?
Sure. So I do have a website. The website is www.MakaylaMessam.com. And so I don't try, but my husband, he tries to update it at least once a month, just to kind of keep people, because I do a lot in a month's time. So you can always keep up with me on my website, kind of see what I'm doing. My books are sold on Amazon.com. You can go to Lulu.com also, which is the publishing company I use to publish it. And my social media, you can find me on Facebook. I tell people to follow Makayla's Journey, which is what it's called, because I feel like my journey is important to me. It really is. I inspire people, and I know that I inspire people. I don't choose to. It's not like something I get up every day like, hey, I'm going to go inspire somebody today. But I just do. It's just something about me. And, I'm still trying to get used to the fact that people look up to me in a certain kind of way. So I created a Facebook page called Makayla's Journey that kind of shows people what I'm doing. And what it does, I get inboxes all the time where people say, I never thought that I could model, because I'm so this, or I'm so short, or I'm so that. And they looking at me like, hey, you're short, and you're plus size, and you're this, and you're doing this, so why can't I? You inspire me to do so. So, you can follow Makayla's Journey and kind of you'll see a lot about my daughter, my family members. Because family is important to me. It's very, very important to me. I have created a family around me, through my foster children, through my adult children now, through my work family, my adopted family, my biological family. So I have a lot of support around me. And I always say that family is not necessarily what you're born into. So I feature a lot of that on my page, because I want people to know, like, don't be alone. You need people around you. You need the right team, whatever that team is. You need that team. So those are the ways you can find me.
Well, I love it. And I will be joining your family. I'm going to join your Facebook page. Like I said, I'm very inspired by your story. I enjoy reading your books, learned a lot about you. I love your positive outlook. And just thank you for being here.
Thank you
for sharing your story with us and the city of Laurel.
Thank you very much.
All right. We'll be right back. A Mile in My Shoes is a mature book, definitely for adults, as it depicts scenes not suitable for younger audiences, but the content is real. Makayla had a rough childhood, and she's not afraid to share her experiences with drugs, alcohol, fighting, and foster homes in the hopes that it will help someone in similar situations. Matrimonial Deception is a book about marriage, of course. Marriage is not easy, especially when you do not have examples of healthy marriages in your life. Makayla shows us that there are two sides to a relationship, and you have to take responsibility for your actions when the marriage goes wrong. But even in that, once you have learned from your mistakes, you can have a healthy and meaningful relationship. Life After Death is the third book in the trilogy and shows how Makayla's life took a turn for the best. She changed her name and made other changes in an effort to live a full and happy life. We want to thank Mrs. Makayla Messam for joining us today and letting us walk a mile in her shoes, telling us all about the deceptions in an unhealthy marriage and giving us hope in life after death. The road we travel in life may not always start out as we would have it, but it's up to us to take those hard turns, jump those hurdles, sometimes even take another road altogether, and ultimately make the most out of what we have. Makayla has been an excellent example of that. Her childhood was not the greatest, but she didn't let that stop her from remaining positive towards people and circumstances in her life, and not only persevering through it all, but helping others along the way. Her life is a true testimony, and we thank her for sharing with us. If you are an author and would like to be featured on our program, you can send an email to cmjohnson@laurel.md.us or call 301-725-5300, extension 2110. We would love to have you on the show. I'm Christine Johnson, reminding you to open a book and let it take you on your next adventure.